Hey guys, we're going to be checking out the Purity ROM on the Nexus 5 today. As always, the links are included in the description. Purity ROM is honestly one of the fastest ROMs I've used on my Nexus 5 to date. It's very clean and very stable. It doesn't have a ton of customizable options, but it does make up for it in speed. So yeah, let's go ahead and check it out. So as I mentioned previously, this ROM is just blazingly fast, especially when you pair it with something like the Trinity kernel. You're not going to see any lags in the transitions or anywhere in the UI. Applications open nearly instantaneously, especially when you've got them in memory. And yeah, like I mentioned, it's just a breeze to use. It's very responsive. Now, there's a few reasons for that. It's got a lot of under the hood tweaks. I think it's got Delvic patches, Bionic patches, all that sort of stuff that I'm not going to go too much into. It does also work with Art runtime, or Art, I shouldn't really say Art runtime, that's kind of weird, but yeah, it also works with Art if that's something you want to do. So yeah, let's go ahead and talk about the customization. So before I get into the options, I just wanted to mention something quickly about the theming. The whole thing has pretty much got rid of the holo blue you see on the stock ROM here. You can see the toggles are now a white. It just looks a little bit more consistent with the KitKat UI. If you dive into the battery graph, you'll notice the actual bars here again are no longer blue, they are a white. And after using it for a while, it's just that little bit easier on the eye. It just looks more consistent with the whole KitKat theming. The main customizable options are going to be found in the settings in the system tab underneath the Purity section. There are of course some other options you can mess around with. For example, if you go into display and lights, you can mess around with things like the volume, rock awake, the battery light, and you can also add the custom pulse notification light settings. But the bulk of your customization is going to be found inside this Purity section right here under systems. So let's go ahead and check that out. As you can see here, it's really well laid out for you to find your settings. You're not going to find things like active display or lock screen notifications in this ROM, but what you are going to find is some really nice tweaks that keep things pretty close to stock, and it's just super stable as well. So if we dive into the status bar, you've got things like clock and date, battery icon you can change to text or any of these other options, and of course you've got things like the network activity indicator, brightness control, and double tap to sleep. Moving on, we have quick settings. Again, nothing special here. You've got the quick pull down, auto close panel, hide text in tile. You can change the layout of your tiles. You can change the dynamic tiles as well. Notification drawer, you can actually have quick access ribbons in the notification drawer. If you pull those down, you'll see them right there. Right now you can see they're linked with my quick settings, so these are exactly the same tiles, but if you want to untick that, you can actually customize which options will show up in that quick ribbon. Power menu, again, nothing really to talk about here. You can turn on expanded desktop mode if you want to. It does already have the advanced reboot menu, which is one of my favorite tweaks. If we dive into navigation bar, this is the area where you can actually choose to turn off the navigation bar. You can go into dimensions and change the DPI selection to 0. That will hide it. You can also change it to make the navigation bar smaller if that's something you want to do. And of course you have options to change out the buttons and layout as well. Quick launch controls, again, I don't use because I use Pi, but you have here Google Now at the top. You have 2 other slots which you can add pretty much any application you want here. You can also select a third-party application. And lastly, we have the lock screen tweaks. You have things like slider shortcuts. You can make it see-through. I believe that does add a blur effect. Custom widgets, add the camera widget, and maximize widgets. Now, one thing it actually doesn't show here, which is, I know, in the ROM, is if you lock the screen and turn it on, you can actually just double tap anywhere in this ring and the display will turn off. So you don't actually have to use the power button to turn off your display if you just want to look at your lock screen or, you know, check the time or anything like that. So that's pretty sweet. And lastly, you do have a show clear all button and clear all button position. You can also mess around with that. I've got mine on the bottom left. You can see it right there, and it will clear all your applications out of your recents. So there you go, guys. As I mentioned, this is not a ROM for people that love an absolute ton of customization, but what it does offer is very fast and stable performance. This is definitely one of the fastest ROMs I used, and it still has some really nice tweaks as well. So this is going to be my daily driver for a little bit. Let me know what you guys think. Peace out.